BizMode family, this week we are broadcasting an episode we originally aired in mid-March of this year. For many of us, that time was right at the beginning of the safer at home orders, or if you view the glass half empty, lockdown. Our guest, Ramon Ramirez, did not get his full due, so we're going to re-up this episode. Also, be sure to follow Ramon. His handle is Jaguarland. That's Jaguar, like the panther, native to the Americas. Ramon is curating an exhibition opening in December called These Days at the Avenue 50 studio in Highland Park here in Los Angeles. But before we jump into this episode with Ramon, if you're new to the podcast, welcome and air high five to you. BizMode is available on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. If you like what we're doing, make sure you subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and review. For you first-timers, please give this episode a listen in its entirety. At the end, if it gave you some value, can you go on your phone or your computer and leave us a 5-star rating and review? It helps us get the word out about the show, and I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, stay safe, and let's get to this episode with Ramon. You are now rocking with BizMode. Let's get into BizMode. What is BizMode? BizMode is entrepreneurship at its highest level. BizMode is flow state. BizMode is that hunger pain you feel. BizMode is success by your own definition. BizMode is operating from abundance. BizMode is what we make it. This is BizMode. What up, though? I am your host, Alex Bruno. I am the founder of Bruno Group, Inc., a California law firm helping entrepreneurs and businesses with their legal stuff. Welcome back, BizMode family. In this episode, you're going to meet Ramon Ramirez. Ramon, as he describes himself, is a painter. No, not the type that you'd hire to update your kitchen, the type that creates art with oil paint. If you're in Los Angeles, you may have seen Ramon's paintings. From palm trees to snapshots of a neighborhood street, he has a way of capturing the city and its beauty. Ramon was born and raised in Los Angeles. Out of high school, he took a traditional path, enrolling at Berkeley, where he studied architecture. He obtained both a bachelor's and a master's degree in that field. In fact, he was likely responsible for my college roommate's all-nighters as my roommate studied architecture. Shout out to Tony Gonzalez. Upon graduation, he continued in architecture, where he eventually became a professor teaching architectural drawing and design. Almost a decade ago, Ramon decided to listen to that inner voice telling him he needed to make painting a career. Ramon, like many of us, faces doubt when he is pursuing his passion. Listen for the strategies Ramon uses to not allow doubt to affect his process. Listen also how Ramon embraces the concept of failure, as he knows that any quote unquote failure will only lead to a stronger success. I also enjoyed hearing how Ramon's focus is to create the best painting he can. As entrepreneurs, we have to craft the best product or service we can. If our product or service is mediocre, it does not matter how flashy our marketing is or how big our following is. The product is key. Well, enough about what I took away from it. Take a listen, send us your feedback and takeaways at bizmodepodcast.com. Now on to Ramon. Hope you enjoy. Ramon, welcome to BizMode.
All right. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. So tell me, or don't tell me, because I kind of know this a little bit about you, but tell our listeners what you do.
I'm a painter, and a visual artist. You know, sometimes when I say painter, people get confused about that. They think I paint houses, but you know, I'm a studio painter, and that's what I do.
And in terms of studio painter, what does that mean in terms of like canvas?
Yeah, I'm a fine artist, and I don't do murals. I don't, I basically just work in my studio, and I've done over 400 paintings.
Oh boy!
And they've all been done in my studio. You know, I think that's kind of something that I'm really proud of. You know, everything is revolving around my work, my aesthetic, I live and I work in the same space. So it's not necessarily a house that is a studio. It's a studio that I happen to live in.
Oh, that's a good way to to see it.
And I live and breathe art on a daily basis, and that's what I do. I guess to rephrase my answers, I live and breathe art.
Live and breathe art. Okay, that could be your intro right there. We would need to do it. Okay, so but you haven't always, or just let the listeners know, this is your gig. This is what you do in terms of from our capitalist society as we're in. This is what you do.
Yeah. I live and breathe art, and I don't have a day job, and I don't have a night job. This is my job, and I think I'm very fortunate and blessed, and it's probably my third life. I've had many reincarnations, and
sure.
I went to Cal.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. And I studied architecture. I got an undergraduate degree. I got in architecture. I got a master's in architecture, and I got an art degree. And when I graduated, I did architecture for about 10 years. And at some point, the more I got promoted, the less I drew. So I switched. I started teaching, and I got into teaching drawing. And the same thing after 10 years, I sensed a change coming, and I've been painting the whole time. And the reality is that throughout my life, I've kind of fought the universe, and the universe was saying, be a painter, be a painter, be a painter. And I grew up in East LA, and I didn't know any artists at the time, and
sure.
Nobody said go study art. And there were other artists. I just wasn't conscious of it. I didn't know. I didn't know who Frank Romero was. I didn't know who Gronk was. I was just a kid, and I was trying to survive. And it sounds kind of dramatic, but it's kind of true. I got beat up a lot. You just kind of put your head down and you just try to survive. College comes up. My college counselor goes, hey, I want you to apply to Berkeley and, study architecture because you're good at drawing. And I go, where's Berkeley? And he goes, oh, it's a little bit past Magic Mountain. I'm like, what? Okay, that's cool. That's not that far. I'll go there. A little bit. And I applied. I got in. Finally, like early August, I looked at a map. And man, was I pissed. I didn't realize it was that far. I didn't realize it was near San Francisco. And so, I'm an LA kid.
Sure.
I grew up in East LA. I had no knowledge of the world. None. Ni modo. I went.
Right.
And I was good at it. And I got my degree. Got another degree. College is the most fun you'll ever have in your life, in case you don't know that, people. And that's me,
So what year, like officially, what year are you in the full-time gig as an artist?
Probably when I turned 40.
Okay.
I've been painting and all along, weekend painter and trying to be an architect and a dad and a husband. And, you can't be good at everything. That's kind of one of the lessons that I learned in life. And it's unfortunate that I learned it this late, but I learned it.
Sure.
You can't be good at everything. And right around 40 years old, my son got sick, and it taught me that life is precious. And my son got better. He's a survivor. And my wife at the time said, yeah, let's figure out what we want to do, not what we have to do. And we did it. And I said, well, I want to be an artist. And she said, go for it. And she let me do it. And I was there for my son, and, we did the whole family thing. And now I'm 48, and now I'm single, and I'm a painter, and my son's at Berkeley as a freshman.
Right.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty fun. It's pretty cool. And, like I said, I fought the universe for years and years and years. And as the universe started taking things away from me, I kept the important things, and it kept painting, and it kept my son. I have a roof over my head, and I wake up every day and I think about drawing and painting, and I do. You know, somebody asked me the other day, you know, what are my goals as a painter? As a painter.
Okay.
And I said, my goal as a painter is to paint. Once you establish that goal, everything else falls into place. The magazines, the podcast, you know, people get interested in buying your work. And once painting is not at the forefront of your effort, people start understanding that, and things kind of go away. You know, I've been fortunate through various outlets in my life. You know, I had a solo show at the Carnegie Art Museum a few years back.
Yeah.
And that really put me on the map. People said, okay, he's not a weekend painter. He's a real painter, whatever that means. And so I kind of credit that. And it was a solo show. And it just, I've never had 40 paintings displayed at one time. And just the sheer volume spoke to me. And it said, Ramon, this is what you need to do. And I do it. And I'm very excited about it.
Thank you, Ramon, for giving us that. And you mentioned like listening to the universe. I've just speaking personally for myself, I've tuned into that as well.
Yeah.
And I think part of it too is like, from my perspective, and that's what I want to ask you about, is we have people telling you things, and maybe that's the universe speaking through those people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you got to listen.
Yeah.
Did you have that kind of feeling, like where you're saying things happen where things are getting taken away from you or put in different places, but were there people kind of expressing to you, you need to focus on this a little bit more. You need to be the painter.
Right. Truth is, I never got a lot of encouragement to be the painter. And I got encouragement to go to school. I got encouragement to be a family member. I got encouragement to do, you know, to be a brother, to be a husband. But the people never came to my life and says, wow, this is what you got to do. Because, and you know, I think a lot of people don't understand the life of a painter. And it's a creative effort. It's not something that people have a grasp of and say, okay, this is what painters do. Painters don't even know what painters do. And, you know, I'm kind of a unicorn. And when I say that, I mean, you know, how often do I get paid? Well, when people buy my paintings. I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks. I don't get a paycheck every month. If a friend calls me and says, hey, Ramon, let's go smoke a cigar on a Wednesday, I'm there, you know, because the creative efforts come from multiple channels. And I want to stress the fact that I'm very disciplined and I paint regularly. And if you don't have discipline, you know, you have no business being a painter because there's so many distractions. But it is very difficult to explain to people what you do. Family members kind of don't get it. My friends kind of laugh at me. No, you know, my good friends that I've known for many, many, many years, they don't think I have a real job. And they're like, oh yeah, you pretend to work, you know, and it's fine. You know, it's you, and I love them. And, you know, I've lost girlfriends over my job. I've lost, you know, I've lost a lot, but I don't necessarily see it as losing. I think I've gained an understanding of who I am every step of the way. You know, my poor mom, she hates the fact that I have long hair. She hates the fact that I have tattoos. She doesn't understand that I quit my job as an assistant professor. But she's still there, and she still makes me caldo, and, you know, and you know, she invited me to breakfast today, but I couldn't make it. So, you know, she's still my mom, but she doesn't understand my life at all. Yeah.
Well, that's I mean, thank you for sharing that. It's, I think I mentioned this before we started recording. There's many of us that want to, you know, like we're inspired by creativity and want to pursue creativity, but we don't understand what that means to actually pursue it.
Right.
And you're kind of giving us a little bit of a picture into that. And the fact that you said you're disciplined, I'm curious a little bit about you kind of explaining, like, is there a process that you go through?
Oh, yeah.
Method? Can you kind of share a little bit about that with us?
Well, I consider myself an urban painter, and essentially you got to look. You got to look at the city. You got to look at other shows. You got to, today is a good example. I had breakfast. I ran in the mornings. I run at Lake, so I get inspired by nature. And then I went and had breakfast with a friend, and I had lunch with another friend, and we went to go see a show in downtown LA, talked to a curator, a gallery owner. And now here I am, and so I didn't do any painting today, but I thought about painting, and it gets in me. And then tomorrow I'm going to paint. Mm-hmm. Saturday, I'm probably going to paint again. I'm meeting a client on Saturday. And so the days of the week kind of get blurred a little bit. I'll be honest with you, I don't have to set an alarm.
Sure.
I'm not a clock watcher, but I know I'm running at 7 a.m. in the morning. And I know I got my day going by 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest. And it's just, there's a lot of discipline. And when I say discipline, I mean, I think I'm always working. Even when I'm on vacation, or I go to the beach or something, I'm looking and I'm taking pictures, I'm doing sketches, and it doesn't stop. I'm 48. I'm having a hard time sleeping these days, and I think my brain, I just don't know how to turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta start figuring out now that certain things are legal. I gotta start figuring.
We're in California.
Yeah, we're in California now. I gotta start figuring that out in a good way.
Sure,
in a good way. So yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so going into the business side, right? So you're the producer, right? So you're creating your stuff. You're creating your artwork. You're creating your paintings. We actually in the office, we have one of your sketches here.
Yeah,
and
it's a nice one. I like that one.
We're talking about more. So it's good.
I should have charged you more for it.
Yeah. I didn't hear that. No, it's very nice. And thank you again for it, because it's a cityscape of downtown LA. That's the best way I can describe it at the moment. And it's always, because I always put it on a wall that faces downtown
there
LA.
You go. Yeah.
So that's my way to see
the
downtown
homage.
LA.
Yeah, nice.
So, but how do you go about that process? Because eventually you're like, I know you said like you don't get that 2 week, you don't get that 2 week paycheck. You're not like a lot of people that are on that W-2.
Right.
But you got to have a method of like, or maybe there isn't, I don't know, in terms of like, okay, I got to start creating my pipeline, because I want to make sure I hit whatever obligations I got to hit.
Right. Well, right now, I have an open studio coming up in May 2nd. And so I'm painting towards that. And whether I do small paintings, big paintings, I know that that's happening. And actually, I think right now it's pretty interesting to be a painter. Social media has done wonders for us. Mm-hmm. If you talk to a gallery owner, they're going to curse social media. And if you talk to a painter, it frees us up.
Sure.
There's so many people that get in touch with me through social media. You keep tabs on what I do through social media,
right.
Facebook, Instagram. And I'm always working. Either I'm putting inspiration or drawings. Last Friday, a lawyer came by my office and bought 3 paintings, cash. And she saw the work on social media and says, "Hey, I like that stuff. Let me go check you out." And that's cool. So I have a couple of dates that I'm working towards, but I'm selling stuff all the time, and people look at my work all the time. It's fun stuff. I just got to make. That's, like I told you, what is my goal as an artist? To paint. Mm-hmm. And if I stop painting, then everything goes to hell, but luckily I have a backlog of ideas, and I'm always looking, on the way over here, I saw a couple of scenes that I wanted to do, and yeah, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
Well, that's thank you for that. Thank you for like kind of sharing that as well. And I think that what I'm already taking from that is what you're saying is you got to work on your craft. So work on the craft. Everything else is going to fall into place.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I'm feeling from you.
Oh yeah. I think it's not very, I'm a big beer guy, to all those craft entrepreneurs out there, If your beer sucks, you ain't going to sell anything.
Right.
But if your beer is good, people are going to remember and they're going to come back and they're going to want more, and so I think that's the overriding message of all entrepreneurs. Work on your craft, because you can have the best pitch line or elevator pitch line or whatever, but if your product is not there, right, no one's going to buy it.
Sure.
Luckily for me, I've been able to sell, if I've done over 400 paintings in my lifetime, I don't have 400 paintings in my studio. I'm able to move my work. Come May 2nd, I hope people come out and say, yeah, your stuff is good. Let me take it home. But it's all a gamble, I think that's a kind of another aspect of art that is tough. You do the best that you can. People like it, people accept it, but sometimes they don't buy it. Sometimes the people around you don't understand your lifestyle and they sort of choose to leave. But I think overall, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then what's the point? Why do anything at all? And so I think, to put it, you might want to edit this out if you want, but a friend of mine the other day was telling me, because doubt shows up at the door all the time. Most of the time I'm too busy painting and I just don't answer the door. Sometimes I answer the door and doubt comes in and sits down and cracks open a beer and like, man, what are we doing, bro? What are you doing? And my friend said, Ramon, you are a captain in the army of light. You got no business with doubt. You need to push forward. And I was like, wow, Right. So I was just pretty inspired by her, by that statement. And you got to believe in yourself. As an entrepreneur trying to sell beer, or a chef or anything, even in law, you got to believe that you or your firm is the firm. And as a creative person, I will probably walk into any room, any museum and say, oh yeah, I could fix that painting. Where's my Sharpie?
Where is it? Where is it at?
Where's my Sharpie? But that goes into arrogance. I'm not arrogant, but I do think that I believe in myself. I have confidence, and I'm going to draw tomorrow.
Very cool. So take us back. I mean, I want you to take, at least give us a picture of, I used the word picture. Give us a picture of, you mentioned like Instagram in a way democratized it for you.
Yeah.
So how did it look before like something like Instagram and Facebook was around? Like if you were trying to sell like a piece of art?
Well, you had to kiss a lot of ass. And you had to kiss a lot of ass to the certain galleries and the certain, this person, that person. You had to fit into this group of people. I went to school up north. And in San Francisco, the art scene is so small. And if this group of people didn't like you, you're done.
Oh, okay.
You're done, Where do you sell your art? I moved to LA. This group over here doesn't like you. That's okay. That group over there is pretty cool. And it's bigger. But now, with social media, it's just crazy. It's just like, a recent client of mine, he's a paramedic, and he found me on Instagram, and he commissioned a painting, and he's coming over on Saturday to give me a payment, and we're going to talk about the painting. And he's a paramedic, and he has a young family, and I don't even know if we would have connected through the traditional route, through the gallery route, and so I think it's really opened doors for artists. It's really opened doors for collectors, and I think it's allowing art to flourish. Now, some of the gallery owners that are listening are probably going to be upset, and we all have to figure it out. I mean no disrespect to their system, to their efforts. I want to be in shows, but it really has opened up the floodgates as to how people buy art, how people look at art, and how people make art. You know, I think it's been a really it's kept me in business. That's for sure. You know, I've sold many works through it, and you know, I think you and I first connected on social media.
I think so.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we went to school together, but years later, it's like, oh yeah, I know this guy. You know, and so that's really how it happens now. You know, I've also lost a couple of girlfriends because of social media. So it's a
like, where were you? Why were you over there?
Man, it's kind of you gotta love it, you gotta hate it, and but oh well, you know, that's such is life, right?
Of course, but like kind of like what you're mentioning in terms of making the art. Do you take into account have you received like a client feedback? I know you do commissions, but like where a client says, you know, I'd really like if you'd start to go into this space. Yeah.
People have tried, but unicorns really they don't do well with instruction. And I think, I don't know. I've never seen a unicorn with a saddle. Have you?
No. Zebras, I don't think zebras either.
Right. Well, maybe I'm a zebra. I don't know it.
You're both. You're both. Why not?
A striped unicorn.
Striped unicorn.
But I don't do very well with instruction. And I think because once you do, and I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be arrogant or pompous, but once you start paying attention to what people want, then you become a commercial artist.
Sure.
And you stop being a fine artist. You don't tell Picasso what to do. You don't tell Matisse what to do. You don't tell Basquiat what to do. You don't tell Andy Warhol what to do. I want to believe that that's my goal. I want to believe, you know, that people like my art because of my vision, not because of their vision.
Right.
And if you want your own vision, then you get a different painter, but not me.
Sure.
And I'm cool with that. You know, if I were starving and I didn't have any appointments coming up, well, then I got to reconsider. But at this moment in time, I'm fortunate to be able to paint. I'm fortunate to have a son in college. I'm fortunate to have a roof over my head. I got to count my blessings, and that's what I'm doing.
Of course. No. Yeah. That's amazing. Like in terms of just like what your journey and what your perspective. I think it's very good. I mean, we've known each other for a little bit. And your perspective on it is great because like you said, you said we should edit it out. I don't think so at all in terms of doubt coming knocking at the door. It's a really good thing because that's a lot of people experience no matter where they're at in their careers,
right,
or in their life journey. It's not just careers, right? Because everything's intertwined. We haven't even got into that yet, right? But everything's kind of intertwined.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, you have that, you don't want doubt as your friend,
right?
You want doubt to, you know, not even come visit even during Thanksgiving. You just want doubt to just like send a letter maybe once every 10 years.
Right. But it is hard though. I mean, it takes a special person. It takes a special person to say, you know what, I'm going to leave the workforce and I'm going to try to carve a path for myself. And I have no idea how I'm going to get paid, but I'm going to do it. And it takes a confident person. And I'll be honest with you, you know, I might have mentioned my business plan is I'm going to paint until I can't.
Sure.
And that's a terrible business plan. I know it. I know it's a terrible business plan, but so far it's worked. And I'm 48.
Right.
And so, and I've had shows all over the place: Notre Dame, North Carolina, UCLA, Arizona State University. The colleges love my work. The Carnegie Art Museum,
right.
You know, Chicago, New York. It's pretty neat to be able to say that. I've been published 5 or 6 times, interviewed by Channel 7, you know, LA Times. And even then, doubt comes in.
Of course.
But what's the alternative, Alex? Right?
We just stay in the matrix?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I took the red pill.
There you go.
I took the red pill. And so the alternative is taking the blue pill. And that's not for me. That's not for you either.
No, not at all.
Right? So, cool.
That's the only time we take the red pill because we have to shout out again to our alma mater.
Yeah.
We're always on blue.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. But no, it's great that you kind of talking about, that it is kind of, it is not like an easy path. It is something that there is continuing to be obstacles. But did you have times where you have to kind of not coach yourself, but you're going to have people. I'll give you a little tidbit of me. When I decided, and it's been about 10 years, and maybe a little bit longer now, when I decided to, not about 10 years, when I decided to go out on my own.
Yeah.
Either partner up with somebody or go out on my own. And the big questions that kept coming back isn't that so risky? That is so risky. And my response was, it's risky if I stay.
Yeah.
It's risky if I stay at this national firm.
Right.
It's risky if I don't pursue that itch.
Your soul suffers.
Right.
Your soul suffers. And that's where I'm at too, right? What's my option? My soul wants to paint. My soul wants to love. You gotta take the risk. There's no other option. You might fail, but I will take that. I forgot who said it, but it's fail again, and fail magnificently. And I believe I'm failing magnificently right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. What, any artists that you are following right now, current contemporary artists, like colleagues of yours?
Oh, I look a lot, my friend Linda Ariola, she has taught me that she's an artist, an LA artist, and she has taught me to keep looking, because if you don't look, then you're just kind of painting the same thing. And if you look, you get inspired, you also figure out what you don't like and,
of course,
and what not to do, right? And so I'm always looking, and I there's a lot of artists contemporary artists that I look up to. Gronk, Yolanda Gonzalez, Linda Ariola, there's Raul Baltazar. There's just a lot of contemporaries that I'm engaged in. And I want to believe that I am also in the process of cultivating cultural currency. And we all are. And these are the people that kind of speak to me. We're making cultural currency. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're creating cultural currency.
Yeah.
So in terms of ancestors, who have you looked up to?
Oh, ancestors, my parents were very hardworking, and they didn't have higher education, but they provided everything that I needed. And they never said, be an artist. They allowed me to be an artist. They let me do what I had to do. And I'm doing the same for my kid. My son, he doesn't look very smart, but he's really smart. He's studying chemical engineering at Berkeley. And
oh, wow.
He was valedictorian last year. And so he's a smart kid. But, ancestors, and I kind of go down the line. We've always kind of did what we have to do.
Sure.
Surviving is what we do. And it's not just me, right? Because I want to be honest, Alex. I don't know where I get the bravado, the gumption to say that I'm an artist. There's not a lot of people can say, I'm an artist. I do it. And I just have it. I don't, my dad was a truck driver. He wanted me to be a truck driver along with him. And I said, no, I got to do something else. And I don't know where I got that from. But I think my ancestors all along, from deep in Mexico, they're like, dude, you got to go north. You got to suffer. You got to try. You might fail, but what's the alternative? And here I am as an artist. You might fail, but what's the alternative? You know, and it's been with my people forever. And I'm telling my son now, you might fail, but what's the alternative?
Sure.
You know, it's not. There is no alternative, right? You don't take the blue pill.
Right.
So cool.
You're gonna take the blue pill, or when you go back.
Yeah.
So we talked about like contemporary artists that you're doing that's inspiring you, but other things that have inspired you, whether
the city of LA inspires me, urbanism, people, believe it or not. I think people are fascinating creatures. The world is an interesting place. You know, I jog at Leg Lake, and the ducks inspire me. The squirrels inspire me. I think I'm turning Buddhist a little bit. You know, I think the world is becoming a really interesting place. I mean, it's also very dark, and don't get me talking about politics and, you know, the environment. That's just that. As a painter, I just recently heard this story, you know, that the Native Americans have, and each of us has two wolves. One, the wolf of love, and one, the wolf of fear. And the one that you choose to feed is the one that gets stronger. Mm-hmm. And I recently made a conscious decision to feed the wolf of love. And I want to approach everything with love. And I know that sounds like I'm a hippie and stuff, but I think it's true. You know, love is the answer. I don't know what the question is, but love is definitely the answer. And I think when I approach my paintings, I approach it with love. When I approach my son, I approach it with love. When I approach, you know, my practice, my art practice, I approach it with love. And fear is there, but it's not bigger than love. And I think that's what kind of keeps me going, you know? Because otherwise, you know,
what's the alternative,
What's the alternative, you know? Right,
just live scared.
Live scared, so that's not for me. You know, I might be sad a little bit. My bed might be a little bit cold sometimes, but I have to operate through the wolf of love.
Very cool, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for all of this. So what, you briefly talked about your open studio, but what's next for Ramon?
Painting is next. My open studio is May 2nd. I'm also curating a show in December at Avenue 50 Studios. And I'm very excited about that because the directors have said, Ramon, we know you're an artist. We know you can paint. Now we want you to put together culture. And that's a huge responsibility. And that's one that I've never done before. And I'm scared, I'm scared shitless, but I want to put together a good team of artists and a good show for people, because ultimately, we're under attack. I got to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And our rights are being taken away. Our freedoms are being taken away. Our capital is being taken away. We're being divided and conquered all over again. And one thing that I'm realizing is, and sometimes I might come off a little pompous, Alex, but I believe that people learn how to paint before they learn how to write. And we need to continue the visual arts to figure out who we are, right? When somebody says, hey, Alex, who are you? You can point at the drawings outside and say, sure, that's who I am. That's my city. That's where I grew up. I will fight for that city. Right. And so I think, I think the visual arts are important, especially under these times. And that's my job. My job is to paint. My job is to give you identity. And I want to be clear. That's my job. Your job is to buy my paintings so that I can make more paintings. And, I'm talking to your audience here. Sure, of course. Right? It takes two to tango. I can't do my paintings without you guys. And we all need each other. That's what I'm learning. We need each other.
Yeah, no, for sure. That just prompts me for another question. Do you think that we lose the ability to paint because we learned the ability to write, or we just
No, I think we became freer. I think when photography was invented, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, painting is dead." The opposite happened, and I think it gave artists the ability to start painting abstract work. Because we don't need a camera anymore. We don't need realistic things no more. We can now push our limits. The same thing happened when digital art came out. Oh
Sure.
my gosh, painting is dead. My paintings actually became a little bit more expensive because this is unedited, but a 12-year-old can make digital art, but he can't make an oil painting. And oil paintings are kind of rare. Most people are moving towards acrylic painting and faster or quicker medias. And yeah, no, I'm still an oil painter. I'm a dinosaur. But this dinosaur likes nice beer and juicy steaks, and I need to make a living. But no, I think writing, photography, digital art has just allowed us to push forward and just reach new heights that we haven't been able to. Painting will never die. I also say this. My son, he plays guitar. And he's starting to write original music for himself.
Wow, good for him.
And it's pretty cool. I love it. But at some point, I'm like, wow, how do people keep inventing new songs? When is the last song going to be invented? And no, that people just push it and keep going. And a new train of thought comes up. And, my son doesn't know the history of everything that's been written, but he's going and doing his own thing. And I love it, and I think to be human is to make, and yeah, the human soul, the human spirit will never die, So I'm gonna paint until I can't, and then I hope the next generation will continue, and we keep going. Nice,
very nice. Is there anything that we forgot to chat about? I'm sure there is, but.
Oh yeah, no, I think thank you for the opportunity to be here. If you want to look at my work, check it out on Instagram, jaguarland.com, or just Jaguarland. At Jaguarland, and my website is jaguarland.com, and I think I'm excited to be here to just be able to share my thoughts about doubt and believing in yourself, and I actually think that everybody can take that away. Take that with them. The person that's thinking about starting that new job, because it's okay to fail. It really is. I think if you don't try, you've already failed automatically. It's better to try than I know I sound like Yoda or something, or
a little bit. I don't want Disney to come after me now, because Disney money's crazy.
It is a little bit, but you got to go out there and you got to work it, and don't be afraid of failure, because what's the alternative?
Right. No. Thank you. I mean, I think that's really important to highlight.
Yeah.
And like we say, you don't fail, you can learn and grow from it.
Right.
Or I've heard people say fail forward.
Yeah.
Which means like you're still moving.
Oh, yeah.
And you're moving in the right direction.
Fail forward. I love that.
So we're going to find you once again, Ramon Ramirez at Jaguarland. That's Jaguar like the cat.
The ferocious animal.
The ferocious one. Jaguarland.com is also his website, and look out for that open house if you're here in the LA area. And if you're not, just come on down anyway. Yep. We're just a little bit away from Magic Mountain.
Yep.
Ramon, thanks for being here.
Hey, my pleasure, brother.
Thank you. Until next time, BizMode family, this is your host, Alex Bruno, Bruno Group Inc., BizMode Podcast. Keep your family first. Always strive for perfection. Don't forget, none of this is legal advice. By the way, what happened to peace? Peace.